welcome back and moving on to our second segment for today, talking about one of the most luxurious kinds of tourism, talking about nautical tourism or yachting tourism. So talking more about this industry in Egypt and more about the preparations or the infrastructure prepared here for receiving different kinds of yachts. Over the phone we have Dr. Yahya Abdel, our tourism expert. Hello.
Good morning, and how are you?
Good morning, sir. So first of all, we describe it as one of the most or the top luxurious kinds of tourism, right?
Yes, definitely, yes.
And we used to see this a lot some years when we were talking about the Japanese in this sector in particular.
Well, as you know, like the Mediterranean, like houses like one of the top, like collections of expensive and sophisticated yachts, like worldwide, like in the French Riviera and the Italian Riviera and Monte Carlo. This is like the hub, like of the yachts, like for the sophisticated and well-to-do and billionaires, and all over really the Mediterranean itself. So really, as Egypt, like we got Alexandria, like we got the beaches, stretching all the way from Port Said and Port Tawfiq, and we have like extensive ports as well, extending from Sharm el-Sheikh up to Marsa Alam. So Egypt, like has a natural site for hosting and for welcoming and entertaining, like the youth industry, which is a top industry, as we all know.
So as I mentioned, when we talk about Egypt today, we can see that Egypt adopted many and different the up-to-date or the latest technologies in preparing and providing more facilities for yachting in all of Egypt's ports, especially when we are talking about tourist cities, so tourism cities actually. And when I talk about the infrastructure over there and receiving the yachts, we say that this is very, very important, not only for people on board, but it is also very important for the well-being of the destination where they are going to arrive or reach at.
Yes, definitely, and luckily, many of the tourist destinations, like in the Gulf area, look at the Saudi, and the development they do, like at the Jeddah, as well as, like in the Sultanate Oman and like the Arab Emirates, and Qatar as well. So they receive, like great of the cruise ships, and some of the most sophisticated yachts, like are fabricated, some of it, and circulated worldwide. So the whole region, like stretching all the way from Qatar to Egypt and the Mediterranean has been like a hub for, like top cruise lines and for the owners and, like those who enjoy, like the yacht traveling, like and docking, like at locations at Marsa Alam where they can spend like a week or a month and go for their aquatic activities. So it's very exciting and very revenue making for the destinations themselves.
And I think also these ports are ready also to receive the latest kinds of yachts, because we know that this industry is booming and the size of the yacht itself, now they are working on it to be more bigger and more luxurious for people.
Yes, like Japan and Korea and, like Sweden and Denmark, like these Nordic states, they produce some of the top, like yachts worldwide, and it's made to custom and, like businessmen, like entrepreneurs, they like to develop their own like lifestyle. Some of them will cost over $300 million, like, so they circulate all over the Mediterranean and up in the Gulf area, and Egypt is getting like a good segment of that market because, like they love to dock at the Egyptian ports and Egyptian authorities, they give them like facilities as they have like an open visas, like throughout their stay and destination, and they can get the services, like the logistics they need for docking, and then they can Some of them would like travel to Luxor and Aswan and come back to continue their sojourn, like on the cruises. So really, it's very beneficial, like for both, like sides, like for the visitors, entrepreneurs, and for the destinations as well.
Well, talking about the yachting tourism in general, and definitely people who are moving into this kind of tourism, they are seeking or looking for something unique, for something different, and they are different from any other kind of tourists. How far do you agree with me?
Well, definitely yes, because like just like those, who love, like the sports like equestrian, like horse riding and tennis, like and diving, mountaineering. So they network together. And then they exchange, like data and information about the new, like discoveries, new location, exotic places that they never been up to, islands, like in the Red Sea, in the Mediterranean and the Pacific. So they roam the world and really we have, like an excellent locations on both Mediterranean and Red Sea. That's why Egypt is becoming a natural choice for a great number of them, and then they can enjoy the archaeology, the history, the antiquities, the atmosphere, like and discover Egypt and go on board again. So it's very exciting location that we have in Egypt to entertain and to invite yacht owners to visit Egypt and stay.
Well, also we can see that celebrities are very much interested in owning their own yachts and moving around the world, enjoying the vacation just as if they are on a floating hotel, moving on from one place to the other. So how far can we benefit from this, having celebrities here on board? And even now, we started to see celebrities, but we're not talking about human beings, we're talking about big names of big yachts as well.
Yes, like the industry has been sophisticated, like over the last, like 2 decades, like for example, the extremely, like sophisticated cruise lines that they carry sometimes 10,000 passengers, and some of them they have like use like biofuels. The same thing is happening on a smaller scale to the yacht luxury, like industry worldwide, and businessmen, like entrepreneurs that they are all over the world now, like from Asia and Europe, Middle East. They'd like to own their like yachts because it's a sign of prestige and, like reflection of having well to do, like in their businesses and careers, like Bill Gates, like Musk and all of them. So, and they like to do this and they may own it like for 10, 15 years and then switch to more sophisticated, like brands of the yacht industry. So it is growing with the growth of wealth worldwide, and because, like large number of them, they like to be associated with aquatics, with the seas and the lakes, because, like it's environmentally friendly and, like save them some of the hazards that we have in, like on planet Earth. So that's why it's a growing trend. It's a healthy one, luxurious one, and recreational one as well.
Which markets are dominating this kind of tourism?
Well, like of course, like North America, because of the well-to-do, like entrepreneurs, they have a large number of, like I lived in California and Florida, and you can find every family, like they have their own yacht, and some of them they have like a small planes as well, like where they park the cars. So it depends, like about the affluence of the destinations like Canada, U.S., and the Pacific Islands. And then we move to Europe and the Mediterranean, where, like Monte Carlo, French Riviera, Italian Riviera, some of the top destinations where the largest number of yachts and yacht owners are docking the boats and use it as their residences as well. And larger number of them, they like to roam the world in these boats, going, like from Monte Carlo to Istanbul, to Lebanon, and then to Egypt and Red Sea, and then they roam, like the Gulf. They go to Asia, and when they have long vacation, they spend like 2 or 3 months on their boats, which is a very comfortable and enjoyable residence as well.
What kind of, let's say, activities or plans do we prepare usually in each of the Egyptian destinations for any of the yachts that are going to be, whether we're talking reaching Sharm el-Sheikh, for example, Ain al-Sokhna, any of the Egyptian destinations? Do you have, or do we have some special programs for our visitors?
Yes, like some agencies, like are specializing, like in marine activities. Like they support them, like when they arrive to Egypt, like for the facilities, because there's some technical supplies that they need, like to rent, like they are not going to carry all the gadgets, like throughout their cruising, like the oceans and the seas. So but of course they make their own contacts, like as I said, they have an international network, like because these owners of the expensive yachts and sophisticated ones, so they contact the agencies, so they know what their expectations, how long are they going to switch on, like about 3 weeks or 4 months, and then they plan, like itineraries for them. For example, if they are going to do like fishing and diving and checking some of the coral reefs, and then docking and like taking like a road, like to a coach to Luxor, for example, and then taking a small cruise line going up to Aswan and coming back. Or they can do the other thing, like on the Mediterranean as well. They come from Greece, Cyprus, Malta, Crete, Sardinia, and they go to Alexandria for long destinations as well. So they arrange their tours, and they have agents in Egypt, which I met, like during the exhibitions I was conducting in Florida and New Orleans and in California. They have the DEMA, the Diving Equipment Manufacturers Association, where they develop state-of-the-art, like facilities and equipment for diving, for marine, like activities and aquatics. So there are international shows what they are aware of, and they use the best techniques and equipment to safeguard their tours and make it enjoyable as well.
What is really interesting that Egypt is not only taking good care of the infrastructure and preparations for receiving such yachts, but also the concept itself of preparing the human capital in each of these places.
Yes, like Egypt have, like an excellent expertise because, like we have the Egyptian Navy, like a professional one, and then we have, like the freelance, like they are all over the Red Sea, like Southern Sinai, the Mediterranean. And I met, like Egyptian professionals in the international diving and boat shows worldwide. And they tell me that they have the agencies that work with international agencies, and they receive, like the yachts when they come, like to the Egyptian destinations, and they support them in their cruise programs, and we give them, like the technical assistance and supplies. And that's why it's a thriving business, and we have a strong, like technical personnel and professionals working in that field.
Dr. Yahya Abdel, our tourism expert, thank you very much for joining us.